who is maybe going through something. They're going through a storm in their life. Maybe they've experienced a loss. Maybe things are not going your way. Maybe you feel stuck and confused, or maybe you're scared to make a move. Whatever the thing is that you're experiencing right now that you need to move through, but you don't quite know how, this live is for you. So I'm gonna tell you a little story first, and then I'm gonna make it all make sense for you. So hang in there with me. So not long ago, a couple of years ago, I was driving out of town, and the journey started really clear. It was super clear skies, sunny, bright, vibrant. But as I continued to drive and got about 200 miles down the road, everything changed dramatically. It got dark. The dark clouds rolled in, thunder was cracking, and the rain was pouring down super hard, like super hard. I could barely see in front of me, and I was scared to death. I was in fear. I was like, do I pull over and get off the road, pull over to the side of the shoulder, or do I try to find an exit to get off, or do I just keep going? If I pull over to the side of the road, my fear was that a car would come behind me and hit me from behind. And then if I keep driving and I totally cannot see, then I'm going to run into the back of somebody. And so I was stuck between the choice of should I pull over, should I keep going? And I was absolutely terrified. So I didn't know what to do. Like it was real. It was thundering. It was super bad out. And this is from clear skies. And so I called my husband. I got the phone and I called my husband. I was even scared to call my husband because it meant I was going to have to get the phone, press, and all you have to do is press one button and it'll dial him. But I needed to do something. So I called my husband to seek advice. And he said something to me that has always stuck with me. He says, you can pull over and sit through that entire storm. He said, or you can drive through it. He said, if you keep moving, you'll likely be out of that storm in just a few minutes. And his words were simple, but they were very profound. Because when I thought about it, I was like, okay, so either I can pull over, and I was like, oh my goodness, if I pull over, I'm still in danger. But if I keep going, I might hit somebody. And he said, no, I want you to focus on what's right in front of you. You can see directly in front of you. So if you choose to keep driving, don't try to look 10 miles down the road. Don't try to look a mile down the road. You can't see anyway. He said, just focus on what's directly in front of you. If somebody is in front of you and they're stopping, you're going to see brake lights and it'll give you an indication that you need to stop. But if you keep going, you will be out of this storm in just a few minutes. This experience has become a powerful like metaphor in my life, and it's really resemblance of the personal storms that we all face, because sometimes the fear of the unknown can paralyze us and it tempts us to stop and to pull over and to give up. But today I want to talk to you about why you need to keep going. In that moment, I had to make a decision. And he was right. I could pull over and sit and wait for the storm to pass by. But he made such an amazing point. He said, when you pull over, you don't know what part of the storm you're in. You don't know if you're in the beginning of the storm, the middle of the storm, or the end of the storm. And so sitting there, you're going to experience the full wrath of the storm. But if you keep moving, the storm is coming towards you. If you keep moving, you will drive yourself out of that storm. And he said, if you just focus on what's right in front of you, storms don't last forever. That's what he told me. He said, Chanel, storms don't last forever. And he said, Chanel, storms don't normally go over 200-300 miles. Storms only go a certain period of range. He said, so you probably only have 10-15 miles in that storm. You can get through 10-15 miles in 10 minutes if you're driving. But if you're sitting there, you got to get through the beginning, middle, end of that storm. So when I chose to drive through, I chose to decrease the amount of time that I have in that storm. And so as I was driving through and doing what he said, which was focus on what was right in front of me, before I knew it, happy Sunday, Care Cozy. Hey there, Enrich Strategies. And so as I drove through, it was not even 5 minutes. The sky started to brighten. At first, I was in total darkness, but it was daytime, and the sky started to brighten. Another minute or two, it was like nothing had happened. When I say it was beautiful, it was sunny, it was clear, everything was perfect. Everything was perfect. When I say that was a life lesson for me, to realize that sometimes the fear of the unknown will paralyze us and tempt us to stop. But when we pull over and give up, we're just putting ourselves in the storm for a longer amount of time. So I want us to understand that that storm and all storms, whether in weather or in life, they are temporary. And the key is really to keep moving. And so, just as I did, I focused on the stretch of road I can see. You don't have to have all of the answers, people. You don't have to know all of the things. You don't have to know how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. All you need to do is focus on the immediate steps that you can take right now, no matter how big or how small. And then think about it. I called my husband, but who can you call for help? Who can you call for guidance? Don't hesitate to reach out for support when you need direction or reassurance. You need people to be able to guide you through, because if we had all of the answers, we wouldn't need other people. So, couple of action items for you. First of all, what are the challenges that you're having in your life right now? What is the storm that you're experiencing? What is the storm? And it's okay to be afraid. But what is that storm? What is the challenge? Write it down, put it on paper. Let's take this thing head on. Let's stop being scared to move forward and face our challenges head on. Write it down. What is the challenge that you're facing right now? And then what are the 2 minutes that you can drive through today? I want you to think about that. What are the 2, 3 minutes that you can drive through today? What are the couple of things that you can do in a few minutes that would allow you to keep moving through this challenge that you're having? And then who in your life can support and provide encouragement and advice to you? You have people who can provide advice to you. One of the things that we like to believe, and please know that I say this with the most sincere and the goodness of my heart. We believe that all we got to do is pray about it. You do have to pray. Yes, I was praying. When I was in that storm, I was praying. I was saying, "Oh Lord Jesus, please help me through this storm. I don't know what I'm supposed to do." And the thing that I did was call my husband. See, I had to do something. But let me tell you, and you've probably heard this before, a parable, okay? You've probably heard this parable before about the man who deeply believed in God, who lived by the river. He was a faithful man. He was a believer. And one day the rain came and the river began to flood, and as the waters rose, the neighbor came by and said, "The river is rising." He was given a warning. All of us are given a warning. Oh, don't get me started. He said, "The river is rising, come to safety." But the man declined and he said, "I have faith that God will save me." You might have heard this parable before. And so, what warnings have you received? A lot of us received warnings. There was something that happened. There was a sign, there was an indication that the storm was on its way. Now, whether or not we ignored it, it was there. The water kept rising, and the man had to move to the second floor of his house. A rescue team arrived in the boat and said, "The flood is getting worse. We're here to take you to safety." Again, the man declined, confidently declaring, "God will save me." And then finally, the waters forced him onto his roof, and a helicopter appeared overhead, dropping a ladder down and said, "Climb up, come on. This is your last chance." And still, the man refused, shouting back, "God will save me." Unfortunately, the waters continued to rise and the man drowned. When that man got to heaven, he asked God, "Why didn't you save me?" And God replied, "I sent you a canoe, I sent you a boat, and I sent you a helicopter. What more do you expect of me?" And so I want y'all to think about that. The Lord sends us everything that we ask for. Everything that you prayed for, the Lord has sent you provisions for it. But did you ignore it? Did you expect for God Himself to come down and deliver for you what it was you asked for. Every single thing that you prayed for is available to you, has come to you, whether or not you paid attention. I want you to understand that faith has to be paired with action. That's why they say faith without works is dead. God often provides us with the means to help ourselves, but it's up to us to recognize and seize the opportunities. So I want you to understand that you got to be willing to accept the help. You got to be willing to ask for the help. And so let me give you a few key points about recognizing opportunities. Because again, this is for the person who is in the storm. This is for the person who is struggling right now. This is for the person who needs to make a decision and you might be scared to make that decision. This is for that person who feels like they are lost, confused, stuck, stagnant, nothing is going right. You feel like you are totally losing right now. This for you. First of all, I want you to understand that the solutions to our problems, they often arrive disguised as mundane help or just simple opportunities that we might overlook. I got so many stories about this, y'all, in my life and just in this whole new phase that I've been in for the past 10 years. I mean, if I had let just little things go past me, I would not be in the position that I'm in. So, first of all, we got to be mindful and aware. We got to have a mindset of mindfulness to stay aware of the environment that you're in and the opportunities that it presents. Are you putting yourself in position to receive the opportunities, to even be able to notice the opportunities? You got to practice mindfulness. And then here it is right here. We got to reframe our expectations, folks. We got to reframe our expectations. We got to adjust what we're expecting and how the solutions should appear. A lot of times we'll pray for something and we'll say exactly what it is and how it's supposed to happen. It never ceases to amaze me, especially, hey, Monica, hey, Stacy, good morning, good morning. It never ceases to amaze me when people say, I prayed to get these bills paid, or I prayed for this trip, so I'm gonna do extra overtime at work. Well, what was the point in praying for it if you was gonna take charge and do everything yourself? Like this is problematic for us. We don't understand the power of prayer. We don't understand what true faith is, and I don't think that we all truly understand how good God is. And I'm not trying to come here to preach to y'all this morning because I ain't claiming to be no preacher. I'm just saying I know how good God is. Do you know how good God is? You can't pray for something and then provide your own solution. That's not really the way that works. So you got to adjust, you got to reframe your expectations or adjust your expectations on how the solution should appear. And remind yourself that big changes often start small. They start with small, simple steps. That's it, small, simple steps. So if you begin to see every opportunity, every little small opportunity as a stepping stone towards resolving that bigger issue. The next thing is to actively engage with your people, with the people around you, the people who love you, the people who support you, and the people who you know that can provide support, because opportunities for those solutions, they often come through interactions with other people. If you never talk to anybody, never go anywhere, never engage with anybody, how will you ever uncover those hidden opportunities? And how can the blessing get to you if you just stay in your house, stay in the bed, never get up, and all you do is think about how horrible things are? The next thing I'm gonna tell you is continue to educate yourself about tools and methods and approaches for the thing that you want to do. And then we got to set aside some time for some reflection, because when we're faced with challenges, there are strategies that are available to you. But if you don't know where you are in the process, you won't know when the solution comes. And then I would also say, be open to change, be open to try new approaches. Just because what you believed or how you believed it was going to happen, that may not be the way it was going to happen. And you may not see it. You may have thought this is the way it's supposed to be. And then somebody comes along and they see clearly how it could definitely work and work faster. You need to be open to change and try new approaches and new activities. And then the last thing I'm gonna say is keep record of your challenges. This was a lifesaver for me. This has saved my life, documenting my progress. And challenges are a part of the progress. So even when I was in the school system, I used to document and write things down, and I would journal and everything. And that's how I came to realize that every 5 years, I was changing jobs. I was changing positions, changing jobs. I would get bored. I would be looking to do something new. And it was through looking back through those journals, going all the way back to 2004, then seeing that in 2009, as I read through the journals, and the journals were not always daily, but as I read through over that 4 year time period, I began to notice patterns, not only in my behavior, but also in what was happening in my life. And so that was through recording those challenges. And then I was able to address some of that. And by reviewing those past situations, I was able to provide simple solutions. Why wait until the 5 year mark come and find myself in a situation where I'm bored again with my job? Okay, let's be proactive. Let me start thinking about what it is I want to do next now. Because you don't have to stay in the same job for the next, 10, 20, 30 years. And that's a myth that we were taught to believe. And so I really want us to understand that you got to keep going through the storm. And a lot of times we prolong the amount of time that we're going to stay in the storm out of fear. We will stop, we will quit, we will lie down, we will go into a depression. And I tell you, feeling good is a strategy. The bad thing happens, it absolutely happens. It happens to all of us. We're all going through storms at different points in our lives. It's all about how you're going to deal with it and what it is that you believe. My dog that I love to death just died. The other day, my dog died, Mr. Russell. My dog, when I say that's my dog, we had a connection and a bond that was out of this world. And when this dog died, even this morning when I woke up, my life was totally different. Like the dog didn't wake me up. No one was at the end of my bed. When I went to the bathroom, the dog wasn't there. When I walked through the house, the whole house is totally different. There is no barking, there is no noise. I have another dog. I've forgotten to feed the dog for 2 days now because Mr. Russell was the one who would tell us it's time to eat. He had a strict schedule. He knew how everything worked in this house. Then I went down we were sitting watching a movie yesterday, just trying to take our mind off the fact that Mr. Russell is no longer with us. And we heard a big bloom bloom, wondering what is this? My entire sink in my kitchen, my entire sink, the whole sink that's on the counter where you run the water, fell all the way through to the bottom of the sink where you put your cleaning supplies at. The entire sink. Them pipes and stuff that's under there. Oh, all that's busted up and toe up now. I had a double sink, and this is in a fairly new kitchen. We've only been in this house for 8 years, and we had the kitchen redone a year after we moved in. The entire sink, bloop, bloop, fell through. And so I can't cook in the kitchen. We can't do anything with water in the kitchen. And guess what? Can't even get a plumber out until Monday. Can't get a plumber out until Monday. Thank you for the condolences for my dog. He's in doggy heaven. And you know what? When I say reframe your thoughts, so everybody knew, like me and my one son, Zach, we were the primary caregivers of the dogs of Mr. Russell and of Roxy. And so everybody knew. My sister came over and sat with me for a little while. Oh, I'm getting messages. And then my best friend came over and she brought me a bottle of wine. She was like, you need to get you a glass of wine tonight. And I was very grateful for that. But my middle son, he came in from work. He left work when Zach called and told him that the dog had died. So he came home, and you have to reframe your thoughts. So my middle son, he said, "I'm really sad that Mr. Russell died." He said, "But I'm gonna tell you this: it would have been even worse had he died while we were in Texas." He said, "So I'm not happy that he died, but I know that this would have been 10 times worse if we were out of town." He said, "And then we would have had to come home, and we'd have got a call while we were out of town saying that the dog had passed. Somebody would have had to clean up and remove his body from the house." And keep in mind, my dog was a big dog. He was 125 pounds. And so he was like, somebody would have had to move the dog. He was like, and people don't be wanting to do that type of stuff. He was like, then we would have had to spend extra money. He said, and knowing you would have tried to fly back home to deal with this, and it would have totally messed up our time together for what we're trying to do for Juneteenth. He said, so while it is sad that Mr. Russell is not with us, he said, I am happy that he was able to go in peace. We were able to be here with him. We were able to take his body to the vet so that they could cremate him, and we all got to see him before his final descent, and we never see him again. And I thought about that, and I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. This would have been even more horrific had it been next week, because that would not have been good. And it kind of helped me to reframe my thinking. Then, even with the sink, I said, you know what? Thank God we have a chef who comes. We have food prepared in the refrigerator. So we have food in the refrigerator because the sink in the kitchen is not available. I went to the doctor the other day, and the doctor told me exactly what I knew he was going to tell me. And I was not surprised, but it is when you hear the actual words that I'll be needing to have a surgery. And so deep down, I already knew something is going on. I'm experiencing some pain. And again, I had to reframe my thoughts. My thoughts were, you can continue with the pain and you can probably do this for the rest of your life. But is this how you want to exist? You prayed to God for an answer. You said, Lord, help me with this pain, and the Lord sent you a solution. You went and they said, we can get this taken care of, and you'll only be down for about 3 days, and you won't experience this pain anymore. Or you can live with the pain, and it's going to impact your mobility. And pretty soon you'll get to the point where you can't deal with the pain. So you're going to do it one way or the other, or you're going to do something, or you're going to put yourself into immobility. And so, again, reframing our thoughts. I prayed, and the Lord sent the solution. The question is, do you see it as an opportunity? And are you willing to do your part in what it is you've asked for? What is it that you're praying for? And are you letting opportunities pass you up out of fear? And of course, fearful thoughts came to my mind. Like, a lot of fearful thoughts came to my mind. Even when the sink fell through, I could have focused on, oh my God, this is gonna cost us so much money. Oh my goodness, this is horrible. Sinks, kid, dishes all in the sink. How we supposed to? I could have focused on that, and I said, no, that's not what I'm gonna do. I'm going to do the things that I know how to do. When the dog died, totally sad. Like, it took me 2 days to even be able to move forward. But then what did I do? What did I do? I told my husband, I can't do this. You got to do this. I gave that to somebody else, but the Lord gave me somebody to be able to give it to somebody else. And so he took care of those things. So when the sink fell through, we're not going to harp and go all crazy about this. Let's call a plumber. That's what we know to do. Let's call a plumber. And then when that plumber wasn't available, I called my friend. I said, do you have a plumber? She sent me 5 plumbers. We called all 5 of those plumbers. Do the things that you can do. Don't just sit in your storm. We can't just sit in these storms and be sad. It's okay to be sad. Like, feel all of the feelings, go through all of the things, but also take action. Because guess what? The Lord ain't coming down here to do the work for us. He gonna send you provisions. He's gonna send you people. He's gonna send you relationships. He's gonna send you opportunities. He's gonna send you downloads and messages. He's gonna send you signals and signs for you to do the things that you need to do. And you can't pray and worry at the same time. I can't sit worrying about that sink because I done already prayed on it, and I don't thank God for solving this problem, for sending the relief, for sending the solution, and I'm done with it. It's going to be taken care of. I have never been let down on any problem that I've ever had. God has always seen me through. But the thing is, you can't worry about how. I'm not worrying about which plumber is coming, how much money they're gonna charge. It might be my husband who fixed the sink. It might be somebody we know who comes. I don't know how it's gonna get fixed, but I am confident 100% in the fact that it is going to be fixed. I am also confident in the fact that Mr. Russell is at peace, that he is in doggy heaven, and one day we will be rejoined. When I walk through them pearly gates, Mr. Russell gonna be right there, wagging and happy to see me, and I'm gonna be happy to see him. And so we gotta stop. I'm 100% confident that I will be okay in my surgery that I gotta go through. It's going to provide the relief that I've asked for. It's going to allow me to live my best life, which is always my goal. I want to live the life of my dreams, and I can't live the life of my dreams if I am having mobility issues and in continual pain. Okay, you can't live the life of your dreams like that. So I'm gonna let fear keep me from the life of my dreams. No, baby, I got things to do. I got trips to take. I got people to meet. I got lives to change. I got impact to make. I got legacy to leave. I can't do that if I'm scared to move, in pain, and having all these issues. No. But I totally believe that when we are in storms, we got to stop just sitting in them. We got to stop worrying about, the divorce. It's over with. It's done, sis. It's over. It's over. The man who cheated on us, guess what? He did that. What lessons did we learn from that? Let's reframe that and let's talk about how great our next relationship is going to be. Or if you need just time to be alone, I'm going to date myself for a couple of years and get back in tune with myself. Whatever the thing is, I don't know what the thing is. Whatever it is that you're struggling with, whatever the storm is that you're going through, you got to go through it. And let me tell you, I'm going to tell y'all this. I hear people say all the time. I hear people say this all the time. They'll say that they've been dealing with this for years. Why? Why? You're choosing that. You are choosing that. You are making a decision that I'm going to go through this for years. You're making a choice. You got to say, I gave this to God and I'm going on. The solution is coming, because if there's nothing you can do about it, leave it alone. Why are you steady talking about it? Why are we steady revisiting the past? Why are we steady hashing it up? And why are we letting what somebody else did to us in the past impact decisions that we're going to make today? I refuse to live like that. I refuse to live like that. So move through the storm. The reason why it lasts so long is because you pulled over. You pulled over to the side of the road. And so you had to wait for the storm to move from beginning all the way through to the end. You were in all of that. When if you'd have just driven through it, you'd have got through it much quicker. You'd have got through it much quicker, because there's risk either way. You're experiencing risk either way. If you pull over to the side of the road, somebody can run into the back of you and kill you. If you keep driving, you might run into the back of somebody and kill you and them. But you could also keep driving and make it there safely. But there is risk either way. We are scared to bet on ourselves. We're scared to take a risk. We're scared to depend on ourselves. That's why we don't take action, because we're waiting on somebody else to come and do the action for us. And we got to stop doing that. We got to stop doing that. So I don't know who needed to hear this, but I really hope that this serves somebody. If you're going through a storm, sis, come on, let's keep going. Let's keep moving. Feeling good is a strategy. When I get up here and I get on these lives, I've gone through a process, because I understand that feeling good is a strategy. It's not automatic and it's not mandated. You have to choose to feel good each day. You got to reframe those thoughts. You got to eliminate those negative thoughts, just like you got to eliminate those negative people. And you got to have something to look forward to. You got to have something to look forward to. So for the person who's going through and it just seems like ain't nothing opening up for you, it seems like nothing will give for you, it seems like it's just all bad, and you want to know why me. You want to tell the Lord, Lord, you done enough. You said you're gonna give it to the people who's strong. Give it to somebody else. If that's you, just know you got to keep moving through that storm. You got to get off the side of that road. You got to stop complaining. You got to stop steady talking about it. You got to stop being negative. You got to stop all of those things and reframe those thoughts, because there was good in it, but all you're doing is focusing on the bad. It's the law of polarity. For every good, there's a bad. It's just what you tend to focus on. If you focus on nothing but the negative thing, you're not going to be able to see the good that's on the other side of that situation that you were in. Look at me. I was in a storm and it has changed my whole perspective on life. But if I only focus on the negative part about how dark it was, how that thunder was crackling, then I wouldn't have been able to receive this blessing here. I wouldn't have been able to get this. But this lesson has changed my life only because I was able to see the good out of that bad situation. So, what is the good that came from your bad situation? When people say he did me dirty, let's focus on the fact that you got amazing kids out of this situation. You learned, and the whole thing wasn't bad. The whole thing was not bad, but we only focus on the bad thing. I want us to focus on what good came from that situation and stop focusing on the bad, and then let it go. Forgive yourself. You did what you knew to do at that time, and that's all you could do. Now we're in a different space, we're at a different time, and if you could do it over, you will make a different decision, but you're not in a different situation, so you can't make a different decision. Forgive yourself, let it go, move on, and choose to do different next time. I hope this helps somebody.